the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Today I'm giving you guys a review on a very exciting tent from Vango. So this here is the Vango Anantara III TC. So Anantara is I'd probably go to start and say this is probably the most anticipated tent of the season for 2021. For me, it's the one everyone necessarily trying to buy in 2020, and there was a real sort of stock shortage, so there was a lot of people disappointed. So I think this is the one probably product we've had the most inquiries about for the 2021 season, and rightly so. Vango, what they took is almost their flagship top of the range model and made further improvements as well. So the real big headline news for 2021 is the fact that this tent is now single point inflation. Vango have been very cunning in the way that they've managed to create something that can be done as multi-point or single point as well. And it's almost like two separate systems. So if, for example, you don't want to use a single point inflation, you don't have to. You still use the Anantara as we've kind of known and loved it for many, many years now. But you've got that flexibility that, you know what, if you just want to put an electric pump on it and let it do the work, you can quite happily do that. And it's been done in quite a different way to what we've seen it in the past, with likes of Camper or Outwow. It's definitely very revolutionary, and it's something that's they're going to tit around their sort of awning collection, and who knows in the future what they're going to do with this in terms of their tent collection. So it's definitely a groundbreaking kind of introduction to the season. So let's start with the things we know about the tent itself. So it's a really nice big 6-person tent. There's additional bedroom you can buy for the living area to make it an 8 if you really want to, but it's premium. It's polycotton, so it's breathable. So it means that on a warm day, it'd be a lot cooler inside of here because the weave can open up and expand, allow air to pass through it. On a cold day, on the other hand, it contracts and keeps the warmth. So it's the best of both worlds. It's a more of a natural fabric as well, so it sits a lot nicer. So you haven't got that kind of sort of synthetic kind of rustling noise. It's more natural, almost like a throwback to cotton canvas in many years. So you get all the benefits of kind of the canvas stuff, but it's a little bit quicker to dry than the old cotton canvas. Admittedly, it's not quite as quick as the polyester, and even with this, you find that, okay, you can't pack it away wet and leave it in a bag wet for too long. I mean, 28, sort of 24, 40 hours at the max before you want to get out and at least air it. But in terms of its lifespan, you compare polycotton to any other polyester, you're talking 2 or 3 times longer in terms of its lifespan, let alone it's a much nicer material to be in. It feels more natural when you're inside of it rather than like a synthetic kind of bin bag sort of thing. So this wants to be perceived as almost like Vango's like Rolls Royce of thing. Every feature they have to offer, and again, some of the new features we've got on this model for the 2021 season is quite astounding, to be fair. So it's big, it's oversized, it's a very comfy 6-berth, a true 6-berth, if you will. New things not to mention is not only the single point inflation, but we've also got this new kind of guide point scenario. So we've got webbing straps throughout the whole of the awning. So whether it be on the front, on the sides, you've got webbing straps to get that extra bit of strength and stability. You've also now got this kind of new 2-tonal colour. It means that you've got high visibility and reflective points on the lower level, which tends to be the trip hazards, but it blends in quite nicely with the material. Again, you've still got things like your little brow canopy pole for the mesh side door. So you've got tons of mesh throughout here. So you've got one on the side door in the awning section, again, which is quite unique. You don't see that too often. And then big mesh doors either side of the living area. So you can have the maximum amount of airflow running through it. Other new things for 2021 is the fact you've now got tinted windows. So you've still got sort of great visibility and great clarity, or diamond clear windows as they called it, but you've still got a little bit more of privacy. So it means you don't have to have the curtains up to get that full level of privacy. That slight tint just means you almost see you don't see detail, you see shapes rather than sort of exactly what's going on. And that's again a really nice feature and update for 2021. The last sort of big headline news as well is not only we've got the multifunctional front door that we've seen for Anantara for a few years now, where you can have it sort of, you know, quarter, 2/3, or whatever you want to do, you know, bring it from right to left, left to right. There's, I think it was 17 different ways, and we've done a separate video on that you can pretty much have this door. So you can open it so it's just a little gap on both sides, half back, and it gives you the flexibility. It depends on what the weather's doing or how you kit yourself out. You can really create your own internal space as you see fit. The thing now we've got is the front door actually now has the 3-layered scenario. So the front door itself, you've got a normal PVC window, as we've come to known for many years now. You've then got curtains as well to get the privacy in that sort of awning section. but you've now got a full front mesh door. So same with the Vango Soneva, same kind of thing. It's this multi-six door where you can have it as the whole door is purely mesh, one panel is purely mesh, one is window, one is curtain. So you've got the flexibility you can choose between having great airflow into the tent, complete privacy at the same time. So all three components will you can put up and down at your own point really per the panel. So what you find is that you can have the mesh in place, the curtain behind it, and then roll the PVC window down. That means you've still got airflow because it can still go through the curtain, but then you've got privacy. So if you're leaving the campsite for a little while and you want to leave your stuff in there but keep the tent well ventilated, you can do that. And I can't think of any other tent on the market that does that. And that's the joys of this new kind of versatile sort of front sort of door scenario. Alternatively, again, if you want the rain does come in, you can then put the window up in place and then put the curtain up and down. So it's really nice and flexible. Other things to mention is that with the front door, not only can you sort of go from right to left to right, you can almost take the zip all the way back, take it down to the bottom and then sort of roll it from right to left. So it feels like very much an open canopy. You've got 4 zip pullers on there as well, so you can also create, if you wanted, didn't want to just use the mesh, or you wanted a bit more of a clear way, you can create this kind of veranda kind of style. So you've got, again, perfect amount of airflow, but even better visibility from one section to another. Immediately through the fine mesh, when the window's kind of not in place, you've got a good amount of visibility, but it's just that sort of next level and shows you all the different versatility points you can use it. Again, you've got kind of oversized points sort of on the right and left and in the center, so you can sort of bring it back, as we sort of said previously. And also you've still got the zip located on the front of it, so you can actually extend it if you want to make it any bigger than it already is. The new 2021 front extension also has this multifunctional door. So if, for example, you bought a 2020 product and you like the door scenario, if you buy the 2021 canopy, or awning, shall I say, you can now have that sort of mesh layer at the front of your tent. Admittedly, obviously, you can't change this door for the new system, but you can add onto it and make it bigger. One model I'll also be kind of very aware of, which from a point of view I think ticks a lot of boxes, is there's sort of a model that sits beneath this now, which is called the Vango TC. So for me, in terms of value for money, the Vango is really well price pointed. You're looking around sort of it's around about, on the tent alone, about £400 cheaper than this, and has a lot of the same features, lots of flexibility. So you've got a side pod, so that's worth a look as well. But if you want sort of the, Vango's top of the end range, top of the creme de la creme, this is where you kind of sit here, to be fair. Although I say the Vango, you get similar sort of features. Other things to mention, of course, with this as well is that we've got even a sort of pre-guide pegging points. So you've got, again, to match the kind of orange, or kind of, orangey Vango kind of colour, you've got 2 at the front and sort of 2 at the back on each side. So that's really your guide on where you should peg before you inflate it. On the valve system itself, like I said, you've still got each one can be done individually, but the single point inflation point is beneath this here. So you've got the top and then the bottom. So that will pump up every single beam in situ, and essentially you've got almost like a little ducting system, we call it, that runs along this sort of left-hand side, if you will, of where it is, which means it's brilliant because you haven't got anything in the middle. And if I didn't say it was a single point inflation, you would walk in there and you wouldn't honestly know. And we'll look into that in due course. Other things to bear in mind is that, actually, to be fair, you've still got classical things like sky windows, which you get the privacy for. You've got kind of a really kind of boxy villa construction frame. But I'll tell you what, let's have a look inside kind of the Anantara III and talk for a load more features that it has. So now we're inside the Anantara III, you can probably get a bit more sense for certainly the sort of depth you've got in here. So you've got sort of 3 kind of main living areas, 3 sections really. you've got your sleeping, your main living, and then also your front sort of awning area. And like I said, that versatility in kind of between all the sections works really well. And like I said, you've got the flexibility, you can kind of open up the whole section open, so this divisional door can roll back to make this one big open living area. A ground sheet does come supplied with a tent as well for the sort of front section, and it kind of got this oval kind of lap system where you've got an extra bit of material and the ground sheet sits on top and toggles in the corners, so it makes it feel like a stunning ground sheet because of the flexibility that you can take it or remove it or bring it halfway and have that kind of sort of wet dry area before your lovely sort of nice clean kind of area. I've left the sort of the front door in situ at the moment just because I wanted to quickly show you the multi sort of functional door that I was talking about in terms of the panels. So currently here we've got the curtain up with the mesh panel. So the mesh panel always stays in place. So like I said, you can see you've got great sort of visibility in and out. Alternatively, like I said, that will give you a little bit of rain support. Admittedly, the rain will still come through that, but it gives you your privacy while still allowing air to come through the material and then into the actual tent for venting it. Alternatively, you've got your PVC window which is rolled down separately, so you can just quite happily, when you want that complete weather tight sort of feel, for the vast majority of people, just zip that in directly. And then you've got that sort of water seal completely. You've still got sort of great visibility out of there, but you're not sort of compromising one or the other. One of the things that's certainly noted from the kind of 2019 season when they first launched the Anantara was people being quite heavy-handed with kind of the zip and in the corners, just really down to that kind of angle. And it's something they sort of improved on in 2020, and that's still the case with kind of the 2021 new kind of version. So what I want to do is just kind of keep that all there. The windows and everything can actually also be kind of left in situ, so when you move the door from one side to the other, you can still quite happily have the curtain in place and the mesh, so again you've got the full sort of functionality that you'll find. Alternatively, what we can also do is open that canopy up completely and drop that door down. So I'll just roll that away. And at each stage the door opens, you've got this little retaining clip as well, so just kind of keeps it hanging, again taking the weight off the zip. For the time being, I'm just going to pop that down there to kind of fully open it up and allow a bit more light into it. Admittedly, the lighting here is not brilliant because just where we're situated in kind of the Boffy in Vango's sort of showroom. The divisional door between the two sections works as you would normally, so what you've got is a normal kind of blanket door. Alternatively, you've got this panel here. Behind, you've got a sort of curtain, again the same kind of scenario with the front door where you've got mesh and then a curtain to sort of allow still breathability into the tent, but you've got a level of privacy with that kind of functionality. That zips it like so. And then by having that kind of half door, it creates almost like a perfect scenario where you're going to put things like furniture or tables or anything, almost create a kind of dead end space between the two sections. But if you wanted, what we do like about that is that complete flexibility in it. What you can essentially do is kind of open up completely, like I said earlier, having one big open kind of living space. So there's a zip that runs along the top, and then a zip that runs along the bottom. And then that will then also, I can then detach, that then drops down, so you've got a sort of a no trip hazard in between the two tents, and that can happily then roll away. You've got these toggle points here to kind of keep that at bay. I'm going to be a bit lazy and just tuck it in the corner. And then that suddenly opens up the whole space. You can probably really appreciate for why people love the Anantara. It's that internal space and that kind of, say, villa construction design. It feels big. And if you actually look in comparison to other brands on the market, from Attwoolls, from Outdoor Revolution, from Camper, from Dometic, this actually in terms of width is actually narrower in the width than all their top end ranges. But they're clever in what they do in terms of this very kind of boxy design. It feels quite roomy and spacious in here. You walk in one, walk in the other, and you wouldn't believe that this actually in theory is a smaller tent. Perfect for kind of those pitch sizes as well, in terms of the width. So it's only about 440, which again, it's kind of all about maximising spacing. Like I'm about 6'2", I can stand up pretty much right up next to the side because I haven't got to sort of allow for that lean and duck, and that's kind of why people have always gone after the Anantara in many ways, because it, like I said, maximises your place. Even things like furniture, if you're not the tallest, putting furniture, tables and chairs closer up to the side, it means you're making more room. You know, if you have everything bunched up the side, suddenly you feel like you've got more room inside. There is a package deal that we do on this, which you can always check out, which is, again, if you have any more questions or anything about it, you can follow the link below. It'll take you through to all the details, all the specification, pack sizes, pack weights, all that information is there at a touch of a button. Other things you've got which are unique to Vango is kind of their TBS system. So it's a standard tension band, so it's a internal kind of bracing design which they've used in the high-end backpacking tents for many years, and they filter it down into kind of all of their tunnel tents. It's something that, other than being honest, 99% of people never ever use, let alone know it's there, but it's there to use at your own arsenal when you need to. So it's like an internal kind of guiding point, is probably the best way of saying it. So it creates a triangle formation from the top out to here, and the guy ropes take it out from the outside. It's really designed that if the wind's coming from one direction, it kind of just keeps the shape of it. It's not, you want it kind of quite loose, it's not meant to be overly tight, it's just to stop it kind of this point bowing in. So it's one of those things, like I said, it's better to have and not need, and need and not have. And all you do, if you don't want to use it, you find these little pockets located down here where you can quite happily chuck them in. Also on the outside, you still got these tinted windows throughout it, so you've got obviously great sort of wind sort of clarity through the direct and clear, but you've got a little bit more privacy. If you want the ultimate privacy, you would also use the privacy curtains or zip-up curtains. So having zip-up curtains in this makes it brilliant because of the fact that you can really alter the levels, so you can kind of have it sort of halfway chucked over the top, so you've got a bit of privacy but still allow light in. Alternatively, you want sort of an eye level privacy wise, you can take it up to that point there, and then you've still got kind of the sky window situated, so you're allowing light in, but anyone else who's walking around can't see what's going on. And then if you want sort of ultimate mount, take it fully to up to top, and then you've got that complete kind of barrier against the sun and obviously vision as well. What we can do then is just roll that down, sort of fold it in, and there's basically, it just kind of rolls into its own little pocket, and there's just a retaining kind of toggle point in the middle just to kind of keep it where it needs to be. Keeps it all nice and neatly. Another new feature, well not new feature, another sort of classical kind of iconic feature with Vango is their Skytrack system. So the Skytrack system now is a little bit clearer, so it's gone to this little kind of clear point rather than actually the well, it's more like a solidly grey colour. It's basically designed to be a little bit more durable than it was. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but like anything, everyone makes little improvements here and there, and it gives you the ability, you can slide sort of hanging sky hooks onto the point and create a hanging point lantern pretty much from wherever you want to go. For me, I think these sort of kind of system works really well. We have it in the showroom where we have the little sunbeam flexi lights, which just follows the contours of the beam, and basically it's a way of having lighting system in your tent like this without having to worry about banging your head on a lantern or taking up headroom. It's same principle in probably a house. You know, you have your lights just pointing down. That's kind of the idea of it, simplistic as it is. Either side of the kind of two sort of doors we've got here by the bedrooms, we've got a normal door and a mesh door. So again, you have the ultimate amount of ventilation. So it's now a very, very well vented tent. So you've got side door, side door, side door in the awning section, front door entirely, and a front mesh panel here. So for an airflow, you can really, really ramp it up and get that sort of, you know, flexibility. Plus you've got things like low level ventilation points beneath the window. So not only have you got polycotton in terms of it's breathable and it helps obviously you get airflow coming through here, you've also got vents to kind of keep that air running around. Other things you've got here is not only with a bit of construction, you've got these kind of oversized, supersized beams, so it really helps to kind of take the slight extra weight of the material of the polycotton and just kind of beefs it up a bit and gives that a bit more stability in kind of those higher winds. Other things you find you've got is kind of Vango's Smart Pack roller bag, so it's a really nice oversized bag with two-stage compression points, so you can compress it outside the bag and also compress it once it's in the bag. If you like the idea of this roller pack bag, you can actually now buy it separately. Again, you can go to our website and we've got them listed there to buy. So if you've got a tent of old or a different branded tent, for example, you want that smart pack feature, in theory now you can buy it to use it as you want to. Or alternatively, you can also find that you can store kit in it, making it easier to chuck everything in the car, you know it's all in the bag, ready to go, rather than store it in bits and bobs. The back storage section, back living section I should say, you've got this really nice sort of midnight bedroom, so it's great for sort of stopping the early morning light. It means hopefully people, your kids more importantly, stay in bed longer and get a better night's sleep. They've kind of split the bedrooms up into sort of a master bedroom, so you've got a master 160cm bedroom here, a 140 and then a 120, so you've got it kind of very orientated for adults, kids, And the joys of having a master 160 bedroom is not only because of the width, but it means you can have high-rise air beds and camp beds in here quite happily because you've got the room to. But all of the bedrooms have this deeper depth, it's about 2.5 meters in total, deeper depth, which means you fit. It doesn't matter how high the back of the park comes up, you can quite happily accommodate. And that's one of the sort of key iconic things that everyone's loved about the Anantara for the last couple of years. You've got a mesh panel built into the front of all of the doors as well, so again, helping that airflow, and you've got a nice big ventilation point right at the top here as well as a hanging point for lanterns if need be. Other key features you've still got in this is things like storage pockets, so not only got storage pockets built into the inner bedroom down here to put keys and phones and that sort of stuff, but also into the palmets. You know, the palmet itself allows sort of ability to kind of declutter the main living area tent, but you've also hides all the nitty sort of the toggle points and all that, makes it look a bit more seamless, and again helps them feel like the premium tent it really is. With the Skytrack system, there's no reason you can't buy additional storage pockets to come down, again to maximise your internal room and sort of declutter the main bits for phones, books, whatever you want to chuck in it, you can quite happily do so. Overall, I think the main kind of, in fact, let's pick the camera up and have a bit more feel for it. That's always a big thing to do. So, like I say, you probably appreciate when you've got it here, that little brow canopy is perfect because it means you can actually enter the main awning area if it's raining and not have to worry about that little the rain coming in. When the front door is in, immediately as soon as that door's open, you're going to have the rain or anything driving straight in, even when you've got anything, you know, like the mesh panel or anything in place. So that sort of feature there works really well. It's been very popular. And so you've got this kind of seamless area that it now all becomes in one section. So as we come back, you can really appreciate how kind of open it feels, and it just extends the living area for those rainy days when you need it to. The ground sheet in between sections toggles up and toggles down, so you can actually have it sort of sealed when you wanted to, and alternatively you don't. And again, the kind of new kind of Skytrack system, you're probably just about to see it there, slightly white, only a slight different change, but makes a big difference. You've also got cable entry points to mention, so you've got the cable entry points not only kind of in between the sections, but like low level ventilation at the point down there, so you've got a zip just located here, and then you can probably see the ground sheet baffle, so that's what the ground sheet for the main awning area kind of goes over the top of. Cable entry points are also located on either side of the tent, so either side of the bedrooms, you can get your cables through there, so it doesn't really matter which way your main hookup's coming. The ultra dark bedrooms are brilliant, as you can see, and like I said, you probably can't really appreciate the storage pockets, it's probably a bit too dark in there to be fair, but admittedly it's partly down to where we are in the showroom, but it just kind of gives you a bit more idea. If you wanted to make it a bit lighter from any, we find it's a bit too dark, the mesh panels at the front would be a great place to open, and again just allows a bit more light coming into it. And you've also got this kind of really nice low step into the bedroom as well to sort of help with that as well. But yeah, I mean, overall really nice little model, something that's definitely quite nice and versatile. In fact, we'll kind of, as you come out, you can really appreciate kind of how open it really feels, and it's just a few tweaks here and there that suddenly make a massive difference. That you've got a 2-valve scenario here, so the top one for single point, or the bottom one for bottom one single point, top one for multi-point. And in terms of your deflation process, you don't do that any differently to how you've done the Anantara in the past. So you still deflate from every single beam, and we've done a separate video about pitching, kind of, well, inflating the Anantara from one single point. Again, when you can probably come at the back here, you can really appreciate those new kind of guide points. So it just sort of stands out again, and you've got a really nice big mesh vent at the back here with airflow. But it's really well done. The colour scheme is really nice. It just kind of, like I said, looks premium as you want it to be. And admittedly, for the price point it is, which, you know, when you actually take in consideration a lot of the other brands' tents on the market, it nestles in round that point as well. So I think there's an awful lot of talking points here. And I think, to be fair, it's gone from almost strength to strength. What arguably for me was probably the best polycotton tent of 2020 in terms of sort of everything. I feel kind of it's carried on that leaf in many ways, and just gives that little bit more. A few tweaks here and there suddenly makes quite a bit of difference. Oh, actually, one thing I haven't shown you is the inflation point. So you can see how, for example, when we were inside the tent, you wouldn't even know it's single point. So at no point here does it look like there is anywhere. What they've very cleverly done is almost got a duct running down the side beneath the door. You probably just about see it. if you're lucky. And basically it leads into every single beam. It's a one-way system. So, for example, if for any reason you had an issue with, for example, one of the beams not inflating, it can almost basically just, probably best scenario to say, if you had an issue, say, with the middle beam here, it wouldn't affect any of the beams. So if once it's up and, for example, the middle beam goes down, it doesn't make a difference because all the other ones are sort of cut off anyway. It sort of self-isolates in many ways. You can then treat this beam as you would normally, sort of take it out, remove it, replace it, or even, to be fair, just use the single point inflation, the multi-point inflation, just pump it up on its own to reinflate it or replace it. So it's a very kind of clever system in the way they've done it, and something they're going to roll out across probably, you know, the awning section served for 2021, but who knows where they go with, or sort of almost beyond that. But for me, I really like it. I think for me, it's still going to be one of the most sought after tents for 2021 in terms of people who want, you know, with staycations being a massive thing these days, wants the creme and all the features, and there's an awful lot of boxes this ticks. And even if you take away the new single point inflation as a point and just have the tent on its own merit, everything it did previously and the few additions here, it does more so. So the fact that you've got tinted windows, I call it floated guidelines, the new mesh part there, single point inflation, all these kind of big kind of changes do add up to make a really nice top of the range tent. So like I said, more information at any point you need on this, or for sizes or prices or package deals we've got going on, if you check the link below, it'll take you straight through to our website where we've got all that information at a touch of a button, as well as the pitching video we've done previously, doing a multi-functional point. And you can always check out, like I said, we've done a one pitch inflation point for the tent as well, just to kind of give you a bit more idea about that as well. So yeah, that's kind of our little video review on the very exciting updated Anantara III TC Air 650 tent.